For 7 years, Nafisa Wahab and Nuria Zubaida worked in Ghana's capital city, Accra, as head porters, carrying luggage to fend for themselves. But they returned home when they realized that the capital city is not a suitable venue to survive as young women.
I was carrying luggage to make some income, then used the small income generated to buy things and returned home. I was doing kayaye in Accra. Prior to that, I was hand-picking shea nuts. It was not fruiting anymore, so I had to leave for Accra.
Both in their mid-20s, they now live in their hometown called Sumpini and Kojope in the Savannah region, where everyone relied on shea fruits for survival. Like Nafisa and Nuria, almost everyone in the villages harvested ripe fruits for sale to earn an income. It is how they have sustained their children's education and maintained their families.
I was collecting the shea nuts and making some money. When shea nuts were in abundance, we could pick them for 1 week and process them to make 1,000 Ghana cedis or 600 Ghana cedis, which you can use for your daily needs. It's no longer there, which is why we are doing kayaye.
They are just two of hundreds of young women who migrate to the cities every year, hoping to make a better living. Before being processed, every share in the world passes through the hands of 60 million rural women farmers whose lives, as well as that of their family and communities, depend on shea trees. For women in northern Ghana who hand-produce shea butter in their homes, it is a source of food, medication, cosmetics for skin and hair, cultural uses, and can be used to protect homes from harsh weather. But the women do not know why the trees are not bearing much fruits anymore.
The shea tree no longer bears fruit as it once did. This forces us to concentrate on charcoal production. When the shea fruited well, it provided us with financial relief.
As you can see, the tree bears no fruit. Yes, people live for greener pastures in Accra and Kumasi. Those who farm usually go there to work for capital before returning to farm. Women also go there to make money and then return to feed themselves because the majority of them engage in seasonal charcoal burning.
So, because of business shall can the pastala copinala darkuma. So, until prenders on check, catch an impulento hosiniana until survival problem.
Human activities and bad weather have affected the tree's life cycle and productivity. Demand for lumber and fuel from the tree has increased. Among other things, residents of Sumpini and Kojope are now resorting to cutting down shea trees for firewood.
This is the main source of livelihood for residents here. And residents here say they have no any alternative than to cut down trees.
My name is
Zakari Hafiz. Rafiu. Yeah. So you've been doing this for how many years?
3 years.
3 years now.
Yeah.
I have 6 children and I take care of them by producing charcoal. This contributes to meeting our most basic needs. Except for the charcoal production and firewood, I don't have any work. We used to hand-pick shea, but the trees no longer produce fruit.
Okay.
Members of these communities know that trees help clean the air, filter water, and provide habitat to over 80% of the world's terrestrial biodiversity, but they are now left with no choice. Under extreme weather conditions, they are compelled to fell the shea trees they depend on. Salia Attica is a resident who also helps her grandmother sell firewood.
It is wrong to cut down trees because they protect us from the wind. We are, however, compelled to cut them due to hardship. It's been years since the trees haven't produced enough fruit, and some are dying. The only work we do as women is gather shea nuts and sell them. But because they are no longer bearing fruits, we cut them and use the money to support our families.
Enough here, averagely during the shea season, you can get the women picking on average.
Here is Hajia Alima Sagito Said, Executive Director of the Savannah Women Integrated Development Agency. Her organization operates in the northern part of the country, focusing on women's economic empowerment.
During the shea season, you can get the women picking on average up to 385 kg bag of shea nuts. 3 average. Some can pick more. Average. So in terms of income, currently a bag in the open market is sold for 600. That's 85 kg. So it means that if averagely a woman is able to pick 3 bags, then you are looking at a woman that would have been earning extra 1,800 cedis from the shea. And this goes to so much for the woman, because a lot of women who are into farming practically are hardly able to save up to 1,800 because of issues of land, issues of inputs. So in actual finance, issues of the right information because of this climate change that you think about, where you need smart methods to be able to do better agriculture, unlike before.
According to Hajia Said, shea is cocoa or gold for women of the north, employing about 1 million people. The loss of this natural tree will be a grave injustice to women.
It's also our gold mine. That's our cocoa. Shea. In the north, there shea. And shea has so much value. The industry employs about 1 million women. And in this industry, all these women see that business as complementary income for their households. And not relying and working on the share means that you would have been denying these 1 million people livelihoods. You would have been denying people education. Because I have been in international forums where even politicians in the north say that but for shea, probably they wouldn't have completed school.
The shea tree grows mostly in the wild, and residents say no one owns it because it germinates, grows on its own, and has no natural enemies. It is estimated that Ghana was home to about 9.4 million shea trees, which could potentially yield 100 tons of shea nut worth about $100 million per year.
The shea nut tree is an economic tree in the northern region. Especially a lot of young people will depend on it when it's fruits.
Clement Matumasin is the executive director for Dream Village, a regenerative agriculture that promotes biological diversity, human and animal health.
This has become so dominant that even people cut down shea nut trees to process shea butter. Now, it brings the question, what is the future for a lot of these women, especially women within the northern region, who use it as an economic tree? Now, for most people who know, the northern region has one of the highest quality shea nut that is being produced. And unfortunately, this diminishing situation of cutting down the trees is also affecting how much shea nuts can be produced in the north.
According to Clement, the alarming number of dying shea trees requires immediate attention in order to implement restrictions bearing the cutting down of shea trees.
So this is an alarming problem that we all need to be concerned. We have spoken to a lot of chiefs to try to put a ban on the cutting down of trees in general. But it's also not just the cutting down of trees by people who are using it for charcoal, also those who are using it for firewood, those who are also selling it to support their family. But it's also the constant burning of the shea nut trees that is preventing new shea nuts from coming up. And this, at this rate, we cannot sustain the production of shea nuts. So we're speaking to our chiefs and saying that please try as much as possible to ban the cutting down of trees as a whole, but specifically shea nuts.
Even though shea is a fire resistance plant, but definitely consistency weakens the natural fruiting ability, which is, I don't have scientific basis, but that is the observation that we have made to do. So we are aware that it's not working the way it should be. The volumes are reducing, and we need to take action, which we have started in our own small way. So for us, we have a number of savings groups that are also share pickers. So in a number of our interventions, we've been raising the issues with them to be able to see what other things they can do instead of just relying so much on the charcoal as an alternative. So we are introducing a number of climate-friendly agricultural interventions to them, just to make sure that they are protecting the shea tree.
I think that the shea nut is quite a resistant plant. It's not just dying because of only climatic problems, but what needs to be done specifically will be policy changes, that we make general policies that stops people from cutting down these trees. Apart from that, is providing solutions in rural communities to support their fire use consumption. We know that firewood and charcoal are becoming a predominantly big consumers of these trees. Why don't we introduce biogas systems? If we introduce biogas system using cow manure, using even human fecal stains, even just home biomaterials, and implement biogas systems within our communities.
The shea industry is our cocoa industry, those of us in the north. And those of us who are into women empowerment, we see it as a very sustainable and a very sure, guaranteed way of providing alternative source of income for women. So it is an industry we don't want to negotiate. It is an industry that we are calling on government and policy makers and implementers to see it as it is, value it as it is, because it is an industry that can bring so much money to the country. It can turn around the fortune of the north and also the country. It can turn around the fortune of making sure that women are very, very active when it comes to generating income. And it can also be a source in the north to keep the young girls here, to keep the young men here. Because if we are talking about industries and we invest in the shea industry, give the shea industry the recognition that it needs, and we create the needed industries, the men will be there here. The young boys will have jobs to do. The young girls will be here. The boys will not migrate. The men will not migrate. The women will not migrate. And society will keep on to be there. And everybody will contribute their quota genuinely as they should.
A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.